You know that feeling, right? Like you're constantly at war with your own thoughts? Well, today we're going to dive into a really powerful idea from the book You're Not Your Brain that could completely change how you fight that battle. It's a clear method for taking back control. So let's just ask this question right up front. I want you to think about those moments of worry or that nagging inner critic. Maybe that one habit you just can't seem to kick. Is that really you in charge? Or does it feel like something else is pulling the strings?
And here's where this book drops a bombshell, a really empowering one. The main idea is this: those intrusive, negative thoughts, they're not actually you. The book argues they're just deceptive messages your brain sends out, and learning to spot the difference is the absolute key to reclaiming your life.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to identify the problem, these deceptive messages. Then we'll uncover our superpower, the brain's amazing ability to rewire itself. After that, we get to the battle plan, a super practical four-step method. And finally, we'll look at the ultimate goal, strengthening your true self. All right, let's dive right in and get to the root of this. What exactly are these intrusive thoughts that feel so incredibly real and just seem to hijack our attention? The book gives them a very specific name, deceptive brain messages. And honestly, that name changes everything. It means these thoughts are not a reflection of who you are or what you believe. They're just static, the product of some faulty wiring, a glitch in the system. And I bet this list looks familiar, right? That sudden irrational fear that pops up, the inner critic that just will not shut up, that constant hum of anxiety in the background, or even compulsions that feel totally impossible to resist. The problem is they feel so urgent, so convincing, that we just end up buying into them. So why do they feel so powerful? Well, it all comes down to brain wiring. We have these emotional centers, especially a part called the amygdala. It's like our primitive alarm system. Sometimes it goes into overdrive and just starts blasting out these intense false alarms. And every time we react, we just strengthen that faulty connection, digging that mental rut deeper and making the messages almost impossible to ignore. But here is the most hopeful part of this whole thing. If faulty wiring is the problem, then that means we can be the electricians. The amazing news is that we have the power to fundamentally change that wiring. The science that makes this all possible is called neuroplasticity, and it is a total game changer. It means your brain is not set in stone. It's more like clay, you know? It can physically change and reorganize itself based on your experiences. And, now this is the important part, based on where you deliberately choose to put your focus. Think about it like this. Those deceptive messages travel down these deeply rutted superhighways in your brain. Neuroplasticity means you have the power to consciously say, nope, I'm taking the exit ramp. With focused effort, you can actually let that old highway get overgrown and start paving brand new, healthier neural roads. And this quote from the book just nails it. We are not prisoners to our wiring. We are the architects. We have the tools to redesign our own minds. How cool is that? Okay, so we're architects. That's awesome. But where are the blueprints? How do we actually do this rewiring? Well, the book lays out a brilliantly practical and powerful toolkit for exactly that. It's called the four-step method: relabel, reframe, refocus, and revalue. This simple framework is our tool for catching those deceptive messages in the act and taking back the controls. Let's break down each step. First up, relabel. The moment that anxious thought or urge pops into your head, you stop and you consciously name it for what it is. You literally say to yourself, this isn't me, this is just a deceptive brain message. That simple act of just labeling it creates this little bit of space between you and the thought. And that immediately starts to take away its power. Next up, step 2, reframe. This is where you remind yourself why it's deceptive. You say something like, okay, this feeling is really intense, but it's not based in reality. It's just that glitch, my brain's alarm system misfiring again. This step directly challenges the thought's validity. You're basically calling its bluff. Step 3 is refocus. And this is where the rubber really meets the road, because it's an action step. Instead of just sitting there and wrestling with the thought, you deliberately shift your attention to something constructive. Go for a walk, work on a project, play some music, anything that lines up with your real goals and values. By doing this, you're actively choosing to use a new, healthier neural pathway. And finally, the payoff, revalue. Now, this isn't something you do right in the moment.
It's the result of consistent practice. As you keep relabeling, reframing, and refocusing, you naturally start to see those messages for what they are, just meaningless static. You devalue their importance until eventually they just have no hold over you. So, what's the ultimate goal of all this? What's the point? Well, it's not just about getting rid of negative thoughts. It's about making space for something way more important to come through. By consistently applying these 4 steps, you create this clean separation between the automatic, noisy chatter of your brain and who you really are. This allows your true self, the part of you that's connected to your real values, your wisdom, your goals, to step up and be the one guiding your choices. And you can see how this works for real people. The book talks about Sarah, who struggled with OCD. Instead of just giving in to her compulsions, she learned to stop and relabel them as deceptive brain messages. Then she'd immediately refocus her energy on a hobby she loved. And slowly, those compulsions lost their power. Or take John, who dealt with chronic anxiety. He started to reframe his anxious thoughts, seeing them not as predictions of the future, but just as exaggerated fears his brain was kicking out. That simple shift in perspective dramatically reduced their grip on him. Now, it is so important to remember that this is a skill. It's just like learning to play the guitar. It's not a magic bullet, it's a daily practice. But with persistence, you are literally, physically rewiring your brain and building real, lasting mental strength. Ultimately, the book's message is just one of profound empowerment. You are not a victim of your brain's glitches. You have the agency and you have the tools to actively transform your mind, and by doing that, take charge of your life. So I'll leave you with this question, a challenge really. What is one deceptive message, that one automatic negative thought that you're going to challenge today? What will you choose to relabel, reframe, and refocus on, starting right now?